Hello, my neighbor. Let's talk about, would you arrest a lawbreaker? We got a fun bit today. We have another hot take. Check out this title. What is arrest? All right, so we're just going to hop off onto this one and we're going to have some fun with this, all right? So don't be afraid when I'm asking you this question. But before I go, I want to give a shout out to the Florida father protecting his daughter, found not guilty by a jury for arresting a person. All right, so this is what set this bit off right here, is because I found out that there was a man in Florida who was arrested because he was protecting his daughter, his young daughter, who was under the age of 18, right? And he held a man at gunpoint, and then he called the police, and then he had the police come because he was worried that his daughter was going to get human trafficked or sold someplace or something like that. He was in fear for his daughter, therefore he protected his daughter with his arms. And then the police ended up arresting him, right? And then it was just like, it was a very interesting case. But needless to say, the jury of his peers ended up eventually finding him not guilty, right? So they found him not guilty, but there was a lot of big lessons that were going on in that case right there, is because one, you want to ask yourself, do you have the ability as a man or as a woman to protect your family? Right. And then when sometimes the police officers, the law enforcement, arrest you for doing what you have the God-given right to do, that's a problem. And we don't like that. But this Florida father set this bit off right here. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for having the courage to protect your daughter. I really appreciate you. And thanks for this jump off bit. Now, let's go ahead and hop on this hot take. What is arrest? All right, but before we go, we have to lay down some terms and some conditions, because you and I, my neighbor, we have to agree upon them. And the reason why I'm doing this too with my neighbors is because you and I, we are the jury, right? So whenever a man goes to court or a woman goes to court and they request a trial by jury, right, then they're requesting you and me to get up there in the stand and witness and hear and determine the facts of the case, right? So that's what we're supposed to do. So it will behoove all of us, the neighbors, to understand the terms and the conditions as written so we can be a good jury member. All right, so let's go ahead and check out these words right here and focus on the highlight. Witness. This is what witness is. All right. Witness is testimony. Witness is attestation of a fact or event. That's what a witness is, right? So if you see something, then that means you're a witness, and you can say, hey, I swear under penalty of perjury that that's what happened. That's who did it. That's where he did it. And that's when they did it. If you can do that, then you can be a witness, all right? And all men and all women, we have the ability to witness. Remember this, okay? Now, drop down. Hold on. Morning time air burp, okay? All right, rewind. Now, men and women, remember, at all times you have the ability to be a witness, okay? Now, drop down and check out arrest. Look at what arrest is. Arrest is to stop. Arrest is to obstruct. Arrest is to check. Arrest is to check or hinder motion. All right. So when you stop something and when you stop someone, that means you're arresting them, right? You're arresting them. So if you can stop someone from moving forward or wherever it is that they're going, you're arresting them. All right. Remember this. Okay. Now check out what arrest is from Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd edition. So we showed you what arrest is from Webster's Dictionary, 1828, because we showed you what the normal American language is, right? But now we're showing you what the law or the legal language is for arrest. Okay, we're trying to show you that sometimes they're the same, but sometimes there's differences. Okay, check out this bit right here. Arrest, according to the legal definition, arrest is to keep a person in lawful custody. Okay, do you see how they get fancy with the words? So when I say arrest, I'm saying stop. When I say arrest, I'm saying you better check them from moving, right? Stop them from moving, obstruct them from moving. Don't let them go, okay? And then when the lawyers or the attorneys or the law enforcers say arrest, they say keep that person in lawful custody, right? You see how they get fancy with the words? They mean the same, but it's just a little bit different. Let's keep going with the rest. Arrest, to keep a person in lawful custody. arrest. A warrant, crime, or statute can authorize this. So that's where they get the ability to arrest people from a warrant. That's a testimony, that's an affidavit sworn under penalty of perjury that's who you need to go stop, and that's who you need to go get. A crime, that means if you're doing something bad, if you're breaking the law. Or a statute, that means something that we've given our legislative entities to create. So they create codes and they create statutes, and then they can authorize law enforcers to arrest entities, okay, or persons. Remember this, and we're gonna be cool. Now drop down and check out this order bit. So I'm pulling something from the legislative code right now, because when I was listening to that man's case about, the father who was found not guilty for arresting a man at gunpoint because he thought that this man was going to take his daughter, right? So then they told the jury, the judge had the jury leave the room or the courtroom when they talked about citizen's arrest. And I was like, oh, I wonder why they had the jury leave when they were talking about citizen's arrest. So I pulled something from our legislative statute about citizen's arrest. Now check out this bit right here. It says, remember the order. It says a private person, all right? Key word, a private person. A private person may arrest another. So when you see a private person, that's a man, that's a woman, okay? So all men and all women have a private person. Remember this, and we're gonna be cool, okay? So, this is why in America we're so powerful. If you understand the law, and if you understand your constitutional rights, then you can keep your neighborhoods in check. Okay, check this out. This is what our legislative code says. It says a private person may arrest another. 1, for a public offense committed or attempted in his presence. Remember this, okay? 2, when the person arrested has committed a felony, although not in his presence. All right, that's the second one. 3, when a felony has been in fact committed and he has reasonable cause for believing the person arrested to have committed it. Okay, so right there, all men, all women who have a private person, you have the ability to keep your neighborhoods in check because you can arrest bad people. Okay, you can arrest bad people, and our legislative code even says it. This is what some people would say, stop citizens arrest, right? So if you see a man or if you see a woman breaking the law, right, breaking the law, which means you better know what the law is, right? Which means you better understand what the law says in your state's constitution. And if you get confused, go read your legislative code too, right? Read your criminal code and read your civil code, and then you're going to understand what the law is, because they'll have things in there called public offenses, right? So you can see things that are a public offense, right? So like if you're walking around the neighborhood naked, right? That could be indecent exposure. That's a public offense, right? If you're pooping and peeing in the neighborhood in front of everybody, that's a public offense, right? If you're graffitiing or tagging up neighborhoods, that's a public offense. If you're stealing from stores, those are public offenses, okay? So you have the ability to keep your neighborhoods in check. All men, all women who have a private person, right? So you don't have to depend on the law enforcers, right? Those are your tools that you can use too, right? So you can stop someone and you can say, stop, I'm arresting you. And if you have a crew of people with you too, then all of you can be the witness. All of you can be the witness, and then all of you can arrest someone who is breaking the law. Remember this, and we're going to be cool, okay? Now, drop down and check out the position right here. This is my position where I'm always coming from. Look at this bit right here. It says, all political power is inherent in the people. I always just stop right there. So when I present myself to my law enforcers, I'm always coming at it from boss position saying, I have all political power. All political power is inherent in me. And then I'm just observing what it is that you're doing right now. So this is why we can always witness what our government entities are doing too. Let's keep it going. It says government is instituted for their protection, security, and benefit. So this is why my eyes are always locked on all my legislative entities, all my executive entities, and all my judicial entities, and every other creature that was created underneath the jurisdiction of the Constitution. I'm the watchdog over them. Okay, so I don't care what political party you come from, right? If you're in one of my government positions, you better obey the law. You better do what you need to be doing. As written, okay, as written. And then this is what I like to show my neighbors too, because we can keep our neighborhoods really cool and really clean, especially out here in America, and especially when you know the law, okay? When you know the law. So if you have turned out neighborhoods and bad neighborhoods, then that's a clear sign that the people in those neighborhoods lack knowledge, and they lack wisdom, and they lack understanding, okay? That means they have no wisdom, that means they have no understanding, that means they have no instruction, right? Because if your neighborhoods are bad, that means that you don't know who you are and you don't know what you are, and you're depending on something else, right? And we don't like that. And that means that a lot of you are in fear too, because a lot of you don't know how to assemble so you can protect yourselves, okay? Now, drop down and check out my job description. This is my job description, and I love it. Check this out. It says, the people, I'm one of the people, and I love teaching. It says, the people have the right to instruct, that means teach, their representatives, petition government for redress of grievances, and assemble freely to consult for the common good. So right there, this is how I can dust off any attorney. So I know no attorney can run jurisdiction over me. This is why I love to speak and I love to show, right? I love to present information because I love to instruct. And then when I can petition, right? So when I see my government isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, like if my neighborhood is turned out and my neighborhood is tricked out, I'm going to petition. I'm going to send something to my government and I'm going to say, hey, check this out, right? And then I'm also going to redress. Redress means I'm going to make it straight. I'm going to make it straight because I'm like, I have a grievance right now. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Your law enforcers are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You legislatures are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You executives are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You judges are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Therefore, I have a grievance and I want you to fix it, right? And if you don't fix it, I'm going to get all my neighbors, because we're going to come together and we're going to assemble and we're going to fix it together, okay? We're going to fix it together and we're going to show you who's boss, because you wouldn't have the position that you have right now because you got the power from we the people, right? So it says it right there where you look at my position. My position is boss. My position is all political power is inherent in me as one of the people. And I know this flies over a lot of people's heads. It does, because when I try to talk to the staff of my constitutional creatures, they think that what I'm saying is high level. They think that what I'm saying is philosophical. And I'm telling them, no, I'm speaking from the Constitution. You just don't understand the job description. You don't understand your position relative to me, one of the people. Yes, you are my representative, but you must listen to what it is that I have to say, especially if I have a grievance. I'm telling you, I'm instructing you right now. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Do you not understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, man? This is how I get down and I have fun with it. And, it does rub a lot of people wrong, because I'm playful with my words, but I'm very serious. I'm very precise with my words, okay? So I'm not joking, but I may be smiling, right? I'm not joking when I'm telling you I got all political power, right? And I'm not joking when I say I don't care what your political party is. When you're in that position, I have position over you. I have jurisdiction over you. You don't have jurisdiction over me. I'm not the governed. You're the governed. So my government is the governed. They are the governed. The people, we are not governed. We govern the government, okay? And this is where a lot of confusion comes off with our governments right now, because they believe that the charters, they believe that the constitutions are meant to govern and control the people. No, that's not true. That's meant to control and govern the government, the people that go into those positions, all right? It's your job description, and you need to learn how to execute your job description, okay? So we're done. Let's go ahead and walk it back up. So I just wanted to show you my job description where I have the right to instruct all my reps, right? And I love instructing all my reps, and I love petitioning, and I love redressing, and I love assembling with my neighbors to consult for the common good. And one of the common goods right now is that my neighbors need to understand, and they need to learn how to execute the trust. You need to understand what your charter is. You need to understand what your constitutions are, because those are the tools that govern your government. Okay. They don't govern the people, but they govern the government, the people that are in the government. Okay. Remember this. All right. And then I wanted to show you my position, because I'm always coming at it from boss position, because Jesus showed me how to do this. All right. So all political power, remember, all political power is inherent in the people. And government, we created it to protect, to secure, and to benefit us, the people. Remember this, and we're going to be cool. And then I wanted to show you that order bit right there, because I wanted to show you that a private person may arrest another. All right. So a man and a woman, we all have private persons. Remember this. Okay, this is going to fly over a lot of people's heads, but this is why it's very important. The Second Amendment is very important, because we have the right to bear arms, right? So we can bear arms, which means that we can secure our persons, right? Our body. You only got one body. Remember this. You only have one body, and you have the right to protect it and defend it, which means that you can assemble with your neighbors, and you guys can keep your neighborhoods clear and safe, right? You know, because if you have bad entities that are in your neighborhood, and then you also have police officers that can help enforce too, you guys are going to be cool, right? Remember that government is just a tool. So the people, we can protect ourselves, right? We can arrest people, and we can also call our law enforcers once we've arrested somebody who's breaking the law to come pick them up and take them away. And then we can be the witness. And then we can say, I saw it, this is what they did. And then you can swear under penalty of perjury by putting your words and your testimony down on an affidavit and saying, that's what that man did, or that's what that woman did. I saw it. I'm the witness. These people also witnessed too. Then we all have an affidavit. So here you go. Take this. Now go handle it. You know, go handle our business. Okay. This is what you can do all day, all night. And it's so cool and it's so fun. But a lot of people are just too shook to do it because they don't know the law. Okay. And then I wanted to show you what arrest is. And I wanted to show you what arrest is from Black's Law Dictionary. This is what the attorneys like to use. And then I wanted to show you what arrest is from Webster's Dictionary, because this is what the common people, we like to use. We use common words. We use common language, you know, so legal words or legal definitions are technical words, you know, so they're technical for terms of art, right? You know, we understand art because, you know, we were classically trained in our education, you know, so we like to show people how to get down in the art, but we like to show people the common language. That's why we're always pulling from Webster's Dictionary, 1828, okay? And then I wanted to show you what witness is, okay? Because all men, all women, we are all witnesses, where we are all witnesses every day that we get to wake up and we get to shine, and it is such a cool thing. So you get to leave down an attestation of fact or of an event, right? So if you see something, you can put it down on paper and then you can say, that's what I saw. This is why we also have the ability of free speech, and then we can press anything that it is that we wish, because we're the witness, okay? So all men and all women, we're all witnesses. Remember this, okay? And that's that hot take on what is arrest. So now, if you understand those terms and those conditions, I guarantee you will bring down your stress levels a whole lot, and your neighborhoods will get really clean super quick, okay? Because the more good people that can come together and assemble and consult for the common good, then the more bad people will get arrested, okay? Remember this, and we're going to be cool. You just got to stop being shook, all right? All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and hop on our next slide. Conclusion. This is my closeout game, and I love it. Trust God. Okay, I'm going to say this from now on until my Father taps me out. Trust God. Put your trust in God. Put your property in God's trust. And I guarantee your stress levels will come down a whole lot. Because then all you have to learn how to do is dress and keep my Father's property. Because remember, my Father is God, and God created everything. So God created man and God created woman. Okay. And once you understand that Creator creates creation, and once you understand that this body right here, this ain't my property, this is my Father's property, and I have a duty and I have an obligation to administer it. Okay. That's all I do. I'm just an administrator for my Father's property, and I know how to dress and I know how to keep, and I like to show you how to dress and keep too. Okay, my neighbor? So remember that bit right there. Put that in your back pocket. Never move from that position, and you will bring down your stress levels a whole lot. Okay, my neighbor? All right, let's go ahead and walk it back up now. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the Florida father for protecting his daughter, and because when he was found not guilty, that was a cool thing, right? So I'm glad that the jury, his peers, were able to see he wasn't guilty for doing what they were trying to say that he was doing, because he was protecting his daughter. He was protecting his family with his God-given rights. We all have arms. We're all born with arms, and we have the ability to protect ourselves. And by extension, we have the ability to protect our family. And once you really understand that we're all family, right, then things are going to get really cool. But some of us just believe different things, and that's fine. That's fair. That's why in America we have constitutions. And in the constitutions, these are the things that we believe in our political associations. So in the United States, that's how we get down. And that's why we're the land of the free and the home of the brave. By God with love. Okay. All right. And then I wanted to show you that hot take on what is arrest. So all men, all women who have a private person, and once you understand what a private person is, you're going to be really cool, because you're going to realize that you have a whole lot of power. You're going to realize that the same authority that you gave our law enforcers, you have that same ability. So all the abilities that our government has, one man and one woman, you have the same power and you have the same ability. You just have to learn how to execute it, and you have to learn how to administer it, and you also have to learn how to use your tools, okay? And remember, government is a tool, and you just have to read the instructions on how to operate it, and you will be cool, okay? And then I wanted to talk about, would you arrest a lawbreaker? I just wanted to know, would you arrest, if you had the ability to do it with your private person, would you arrest a lawbreaker? I know this man in Florida would, and then I know I would like to pray, and I would like to believe that if I was presented in that scenario, that I would have the courage to be able to arrest someone too. This is what I'm always asking Father for the courage to be able to do what he needs me to do, right? And I would hope and I would pray that I would have that courage, because, when you get in a situation like that, you don't know how you're going to perform unless you're in that situation. So we know that Florida father was tested and he passed, right? But we know that a lot of our other neighbors are being tested right now and they're not passing, because this is why neighborhoods are turned out and tricked out right now. This is why there's so much crime in so many American cities right now, is because our neighbors don't know the law. Okay. Once you understand the law, you're going to make your neighborhood safe. Okay. So we're done. Thank you. I'll see you in the future. By God with love. And remember, nobody's having more fun than us. Bye.